Hey folks, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you haven't been before. I'm Watto, that's Kim, and we're wandering about. Today we're in Whitby, home of Gothic legends, abbey ruins, some of the best fish and chips in the country, and one of the best places to come and visit if you're in this part of Yorkshire. We're going to have a wander around and we're going to take you with us. Lots of little interesting spots all around Whitby, like this one behind me, which is Skipper Dora. If you do want to keep your kids interested when you walk around, or even yourself, you'll find loads of these little bits around about the town. But this particular one is Skipper Dora. Born in 1890, she was the first female fishing boat skipper on the northeast coast. Also an author, writing her memoirs of nursing in the war. She became interested in fishing and soon skippered her own boat. And there's a nice little memorial to her here. Like I said, you'll find lots of these little memorials dotted around the place. This little left here is a reminder of the bombardment of Whitby, where at least 100 shells were fired into the town. But remarkably, only 2 people were killed and 1 seriously injured. Little reminder of it there, lest we forget. Up on top of the West Cliff, nice view of the exit of the harbour there, and coming up on a very famous monument. Like I said, this is a famous monument, and Whitby is also famous as the place where Captain James Cook trained as a seaman. Born in 1728, he was a British Royal Navy officer famous for his voyages of exploration. And this statue shows him looking out to sea, which he eventually crossed on his journey to the Pacific. And you can't come to Whitby without getting a photo or something with the whale bones, which is behind me there. Another famous part of the town. So the story behind those whale bones there is just to commemorate the whaling industry that was in Whitby. Between the years of 1753 and 1833, there were 55 whaling ships based here in Whitby. And over that period, 25,000 seals, 2,700 odd whales were brought back into Whitby itself to the great boiler houses on the harbour side, where the blubber was rendered down into oil. Right, I've just had a chat with my mate here, and he says if you don't subscribe to this channel, he's going to slap you around the face with a wet kipper. So best you add. From the early 1900s until the Second World War, a huge fishing fleet followed the shoals of herring off this coast. Herring girls followed the fishing fleets by train, disembarking wherever the fleet came in. They worked in teams of 3, some of whom were as young as 15 years old. 2 of them gutted the fish, while the 3rd packed them into barrels. There you can see up there on the hill the famous abbey behind me there. We'll go and take a look at that a little bit later, once we've psyched ourselves up to walk up those 199 steps. But first, we're going to do what most people do and walk up one of the piers. Whitby famously has 2 at the entrance to the harbour, and twin lighthouses as well. We're going to have a little walk because that's what you do. You can just see there one of the pirate boat trips coming back into the harbour. You catch them down on the harbour side down there, take you for a little trip out into the bay. Very popular. Like I said, famously 2 piers here in Whitby. Over there is the East Pier. You just see another one of these boat trips coming in, and we're walking up the West Pier. And a nice little shot there of the twin lighthouses. Famous landmark. I'll just show you again the twin lighthouses there. If you see any photos with those two in, you'll know instantly that this is Whitby. And like I've said before, Kim going to lengths to get artistic photos. Please keep your eyes open for her photos. Check her Instagram out at KimSpix59. Always worth looking. Drop your photos onto her page as well. She'll always appreciate them. Yes, having a little walk along the end bit of the West Pier there. Kim is behind me. She really doesn't like it. You're not liking it. Well, that's a very nervous Kim there. Just because if you look down between the slats, it's quite a long way. As long as you're over the sea, you'll just make a big splash. Well, we've made it to the end of the pier. Kim's got there. She's really not liking it. Doesn't like the gaps that you can see through. Bit late now, we're a fair way out. And you get a beautiful view looking back towards the entrance of the harbour there. The Abbey up on top with St Mary's Church, which is where we'll be heading in a little while. And it's a glorious day for it. Having walked along the pier there and coming back, we're going to head down into the town and the harbour, which is the heart of Whitby. We're just going to go and find somewhere to get a coffee first. Speaking of which, if you do like the videos that we show you and want to help support the channel, you could always buy us a coffee. I'll leave the link down below, or check out other ways you can support the channel. We really do appreciate it, and it helps us bring you around to beautiful places like this and show you if perhaps you can't get to them yourself. You can take the bus on a Whitby town tour if you so desire. We're just going to start walking down through the town now, and then we're going to go over the bridge into the old town, which is the heart of Whitby. We're making our way down here, past all the amusements and attractions, and all the different ways you can spend your money. Whitby also famous for claiming to have some of the best fish and chip places in the country, this being one of them, and you can tell by the queue that it's pretty popular. There's also others that have the same claim. No shortage of places to get your fish and chips if that's what you want. You've just gone past the lobster hatchery, somewhere else you can visit if you want to see lobsters hatching. Well, it looks like Dracula's going to be back in 15 minutes.
Any more sailors? We are boarding now.
Salesman there trying his hardest to fill his boat full of paying customers to go out to sea. If that's what you fancy, go on a boat trip. Come a little bit further down towards the famous swing bridge that takes you across the mouth of the harbour there, and we'll go across there in a second, over towards the old town. Well, before we head across the bridge there to the old town, we're going to have a quick look down here and just show you a replica of the Endeavour, which of course was Captain Cook's ship. Not Captain Kirk, his ship was called something else. Captain Cook's ship, the Endeavour. Then he sailed across to the Pacific. It's behind me there, and we'll get you some shots of that in a second. And there it is. Replica of the Endeavour. And there's a restaurant on there now, and if you fancy sitting and get something to drink and something to eat, you can sit up there and pretend you're Captain Cook. Another contender for the best fish and chips is Trenchers, which is just over there. And this area here, you've got the train station, sort of busy hub. I think the bus station's not far from here as well. So on this side of the harbour it's quite busy. Yeah, I just get a little shot here, little idea of how big it is. So the Whitby Endeavour, like I said, it is a restaurant as well. I've just had a little quick look there. It is free to go on and have a look. But if you want to book a table or go and get food, it has been recommended by the guy on the front who's selling it. But apparently it's very good. Right, time for us to get across this bridge now. We've teased you long enough, we'll take you over into the old town, over the famous swing bridge. Well, the harbour is the heart of Whitby. Over on this side of the bridge is the old town, with its winding alleys, independent shops and cobbled streets. Like I said earlier, back in the 1700s, Whitby was a major whaling port, with ships sailing out for months on end at sea. That history is still in the bones of this place. It's also famous for the shiny black gemstone called jet, which is fossilised wood from the Jurassic period and became all the rage during Queen Victoria's mourning period. Often carved into brooches and pendants, and today local artisans keep the traditions alive. This part of Whitby, famous for the cobbled streets and the independent artisan shops, which we really enjoy seeing. That's where we go if you want an argument. At this point we decided to have a little sit down and a bite to eat, and I threw the drone up for a better look at Whitby from above. Stopped for a little lunch break, a little picnic guy on one of the benches, and looked at the harbour for a few minutes, let the world go by. We're now going to head up to the most iconic part of Whitby, and that is the Abbey and St Mary's Church. So we'll see you up there, and first we've got to go up the steps. Right, Kim, are you ready for these steps? Not really.
Let's go.
Okay then. Oh, having sprinted up there like a pair of mountain goats. Blowing a bit, don't mind saying. Yeah, we're at the top. This is St Mary's Church. Just have a little walk round the churchyard and taking some views while we're here. So the Abbey there, as you can just see behind us, in the famous book by Bram Stoker, Dracula. That's what inspired him to write the book, and in the book, Dracula's, or the ship that Dracula was being transported on, the Demeter, crashed down there, and he made his way in the form of a dog up the 199 steps, like we've just done, to the Abbey. And that's what this iconic spot is most famous for. Founded in 1110, St Mary's Church has been modified and extended over the centuries without actually being completely rebuilt. The interior is essentially 18th century and an example of pre-Victorian furnishing. Along with the Abbey itself, it receives a high number of visitors each year. Some people believe that one of the graves in the churchyard could be that of Dracula, but we do know for a fact there is no record of a Count Dracula ever being buried in St Mary's churchyard. Many of the tombstones are engraved in remembrance of rather than here lies, which is an indication that many of the sailors and fishermen of the area have lost at sea and their bodies were never recovered. The benches that can be found as you climb the 199 steps are actually there to rest coffins on, as during the 19th century St Mary's Church was open for burials and the tradition was to have the body carried up the steps, hence the series of benches to give the pallbearers a place to rest coffins on their way up. Founded in 657 AD by St Hilda, the abbey itself is open to visitors and is controlled by English heritage. We visited on a previous trip, so decided not to enter the ruins today. We did, however, take a look around the gift shop, which is full of all manner of things Dracula related. Well, it's easy to see why this place inspires people, from its ancient ruins, tales of the undead, and mariners' tales of course, and shopping for jet. Whitby, certainly worth a visit. If you've enjoyed coming around with us, please get your thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and maybe drop us a comment and tell us where your favourite spooky place is, or seaside town. Let us know, and we'll see you somewhere else next time. Say goodbye, Kim.
Goodbye, Kim.
Goodbye, Kim.